Hi, I'm Linda Davis, a member of Anna Asmanis' creative team. One of Anna's readers wrote, I love the art play palettes, I love the papers, the print transfers, and the elements. However, the brush sets floor me. I never know how best to use them or color them. And part of this is born from the fact that I can see where they've been used on the papers or in the transfers, but they are often multicolored in those instances, and I don't know how to create the same effect. Would it be possible for someone to do a tutorial on how to use and or color brush sets? Perhaps something along the lines of 10 ways to use brush sets. While it isn't possible to recreate the look of the transfers with only the brushes from an art play palette, the 10 to 12 brushes that are included in every art play palette are a great sampling of the brushes Anna uses to create the papers and transfers in a palette, as well as the artsy transfers that are available separately as PSD files. I'm going to share a few ways to use a brush set with just one photo. I have already framed my photo, added a little cluster, and placed a solid paper on my background. I'm going to use the Art Play Palette Art Life brush set. Before I load the brushes, let me show you what these specific brushes look like. I'm a Mac person and use a program called Brush Pilot. I like this program because I can see the brushes in a larger size and along with their names. And while I can load the brushes from this program, I'm going to go back today and I'm going to load them from the standard way. Press the letter B and I'm going to go up to the brush picker, click the wheel, load brushes, and here they are. And they will appear at the bottom of my brush picker. I'm going to start with brush 1. We're just going to go through all of them just to see what they look like. This is just a time for experimenting. So I'm going to create a new blank layer. I want my colors to be the default colors, so I'm going to press D to get them back to the default colors. My mode is normal, opacity 100%. I'm going to go up here, and here is brush 1. It is a little large. I have two ways I can reduce the size using the bracket key or a keyboard shortcut Control Option and sliding my cursor left or right. And that gives me a little foundation for my, my cluster. I'm going to create a new blank document. I'm going to need to put this down below. This will be brush 2. And let's see what brush 2 looks like. This is a texture. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to change the color on this. I'm going to put it as a gray. And I'm going to rotate it a little, actually 90 degrees. And I'm going to enlarge it just a little and place it here to add a little texture to my my layout. And if I want to move it, V to move it, I can move it and get that texture to show a little more. Okay, a new blank layer, and let's see press the letter B to get me back to the brush picker. And this one has the dots in it. I want it a little larger. I also want to use a color. Now I selected my colors, the colors from the picture of the little monkeys my granddaughter is holding. I have them here. Here is the pink. So I'm going to stamp right about here. This is brush 3. I also want this stamped in blue. I could just stamp it over here, but I can also duplicate it. Cancel. Command J. I'm going to move it down below, and to recolor this one, I'm going to press Option or Alt, Shift, and Delete, and it will turn it blue. Now I'm going to turn my top one back on and press the letter V so I can move this one around. And I'm going to shift it, Command T, so that I can make some adjustments and make it just a little larger and get it off the page a little. There we go. Another new blank layer. This will be brush 4. I'm going to press the letter B to get me back to my brush picker. This one I know has a little art stroke in it. I'm going to reset my colors to the default colors by pressing D, and I'm going to stamp it right about here. And I may move it over just a tad. Okay, then I'm going to go to brush 5. Let's see what, press the letter B. Oh, the stripes. Yes, let's rotate those. Oh, about there, that's fine. And I'm going to stamp them right about there so they show through behind the black. Next, I'm going to have a new blank layer, and I'm going to use brush 6. Brush 6 could actually be used for blending. I'm going to use it for a texture for the background, but I want to change it back to that pink by going to my swatches panel, and I'm going to rotate the brush. Will that give it to me? But that's about what I want. And I'm going to make it just a little larger. Control Option, and I'm going to stamp it right there a couple of times. Okay, brush 7. This one is an edge brush, and I would like to leave it in pink. I'm going to reduce the size just a little, and I'm going to stamp it on the edge. But I also want those dots to be black, so I'm going to reset the colors to the default colors by pressing D. I'm going to Command and click on the layer so that I get little marching ants, and I'm going to go back up and get my hard round brush, reduce the size significantly, and I'm going to just recolor the dots. How about here? And another dot here, and a little dot here. Gives me a little more interest and a balance with what I've got on the left. Okay, a new blank document, a new blank layer. This will be brush 8. And brush 8, that's the edge. This is brush 8. Oh, this will be a nice little extra with the stripe. I'm going to reduce the size of that just a little too, and I'm going to put it over here on this edge. Okay, brush 9. Let's label it. Brush 9 is a splatter. Splatters, stains, art strokes are great for embellishing a layout. And I'm going to put my spatter right about here. Good. Brush 10. Brush 10. Let's go back up to the palette. Here's brush 10. This one I can use for a texture, and if I place it right about here, you can't see it yet, but if I move it above layer 3, and I'm going to change the color to Color Burn, okay, because I could recolor those little dots. I'm not going to, but I could recolor the little dots, and then you can see the texture that's here. Brush 11, a new blank layer, and let's go up and see brush 11. Here is another little, I'm going to stamp it right here because I want to do something with those stripes. I need to go to my swatches panel and put my pink in, and I'm going to Command click on that, and I'm going to use just the hard round brush, reduce the size again, and I'm going to recolor just the little stripes. Okay, Command D to deselect, V so I can move it. Let me get it down a little smaller. And I think I'll put that right about here. Actually, I want my blue to move over a little. There we go. And the last brush, a new blank layer. This will be brush 12. Press the letter B to get me back to the brush picker. And this I can use for an edge, but I want to rotate it just a little. And I'm going to reduce the size a little. And I'm going to put that right about here. Oh, I need to delete that because I don't want that color. I'm going to do a new blank layer. This will be brush 12. I'm going to reset my colors to default. Actually, I'm going to change this to a gray. And now I'm going to try it again. There we go. Now I've got it. Okay, let's recap some of the possibilities I found for using the brushes included in an art play palette. Not quite 10 ways, but I hope that I've shared enough so you are encouraged to experiment more with the brush sets that are part of the art play palettes. On this layout, I created a foundation for my photo. I've added color and texture. I've created a foundation underneath my cluster. I've embellished with a splatter. I've changed the color on parts of the brushes. There wasn't a brush in this one that allowed or that was conducive to masking a photo, but many of the art play palette brush sets do include one that would be great for a mask. But here's what my finished page looked like after I added a few more art strokes and overlays from the same palette, as well as an artsy PSD transfer and some of the tape textures. I can't recreate the look of the transfers, overlays, or artsy papers with only the brushes, but there is a lot I can do with the brushes. The brushes are just one component of an art play palette, meant to be used in conjunction with all the pieces of the palette as well as the artsy transfers for maximum flexibility for creating artsy pages. I hope this video has encouraged you to try experimenting more with the brush sets in the art play palettes. I encourage you to explore some of the other brush sets that Anna has available in her store. There's a wonderful selection for creating artsy pages, specific brushes for everything from blending, framing, masking, stitching, journaling, painting, to adding texture. And please let Anna know if you have any other questions.